I wonder if anyone's here. It's gone.
Hello and welcome to the Spligalonius channel. My name is Aaron. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 indie horror games that I'm going to be recommending you. The order of games on this list holds no significance. Lost in Vivo is a game developed by Kira. They were behind the great indie horror classic Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. If you haven't played that yet, consider it the official 6th game on this list. Also worth noting that Kira's favorite Silent Hill game is 3, which is also my favorite. Lost in Vivo starts with you walking your dog when it gets sucked into a broken sewer cover, so you go down into the sewers after it. And along the way, you get to see some very disturbing and traumatic things. The atmosphere is very reminiscent of Silent Hill. The gameplay feels like a modern game while looking like a PS2 game with modern lighting. I am a huge fan of this aesthetic because I love the PS2 era of horror games, and I also understand that retro-looking graphics can make a game look scarier. The game has weapons and ammo scattered all throughout the game world and various collectibles, which reward exploration. The save system is exactly like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, where you have a safe room to save in. If you're a fan of old-school survival horror games, you have to play this. Night at the Gates of Hell is a game that is published by Puppet Combo and developed by Jordan King and Henry Hoare. It released in September of 2022. This game takes inspiration from old Resident Evil and director Lucio Fulci, whose movies feature the most disturbing and grotesque-looking zombies. And I feel this game really captures that. The gameplay is brilliant. The zombies can only die if you get a headshot. And if a zombie gets you, it's game over, unless you have a knife, which you'll then stab and insta-kill the zombie. This creates a very tense atmosphere that really gets the adrenaline going. This also in turn makes exploration fun and worthwhile, because you'll be looking for ammo and knives. Another really cool thing about this game is that I never felt like I was killing the same zombie twice. The sheer variety of enemies in this game was utterly impressive. And it also left me a bit anxious as to what I would encounter next. This game just keeps throwing dark, grotesque imagery at you every step of the way, and I loved every second of it. Also, when you complete the main game, you get 2 smaller games that the developer made. One of them is a hilarious game about a butt demon that cuts off the butts of people that shit on the floor in the haunted bathroom. The other one feels like this game's take on Call of Duty Zombies, really intense and fun. This game is a must-own for horror fans. Stay Out of the House is a game that's been on my Steam wishlist for a very long time. It was developed by Puppet Combo, and when it finally came out, I was blown away by the experience. The game starts out with one of the developer's smaller games, Night Shift, which was a prequel to Stay Out of the House and now serves as the prologue in this. As someone who has worked a night shift job alone at a gas station, I can tell you this game perfectly captures that feeling of paranoia and dread. Most of the game is you being alone in the gas station, trying to kill time because most of the world is asleep. When out of nowhere, a car pulls up, and that feeling of anxiety kicks in because it's 3 in the fucking morning, and this could be anyone. But this first customer is just a normal person who wants gas. Thank goodness. Then a van pulls up, and just stops by the store, then just drives off. I also want to note that they're playing some kind of weird sounding, Tiny Tim-ass sounding music. I don't want to spoil too much, but this game gets very intense. Now we move on to the main game, Stay Out of the House, which takes heavy inspiration from one of my all-time favorite horror movies, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like the brilliant movie, the game slowly starts to build up tension when the protagonist realizes that something is very wrong here. We then meet an adorable little friend, and yes, you get to pet them. Eventually, you come across the house and your dog friend runs in and you run in after them. After you rescue your dog friend, you realize it's time to leave the house because the place is utterly horrifying. But before you can get out, you're confronted by the butcher. and grandma, and you're knocked unconscious. This is where the main game becomes truly fun and terrifying. The house is full of horrifying and macabre sights, such as human head-like covers and lamps made of human skin. Like the other puppet combo game Murder House, you have the ability to fight back. The greatest part about the game is learning the layout of the house to control your captors.
Get it out of your system. Just get it out. Get out there. Just let it out. Just going around throwing temper tantrums isn't the way to do this, right? This isn't the way to do it, man. Right? I know you're mad. I know you're frustrated. And, you'll get through this, okay? I'm sorry that I killed your grandma.
I started to feel like they really regretted abducting me.
Fuck your commercials.
Yeah, take that, you mean old bitch. This was a really fun and intense horror game. Lakeview Cabin 2 is a game made by Root Taminen, who has created some of the most fun and crazy horror games I have ever played. Lakeview Collection is a classic masterpiece, and Lakeview Valley is a dark serial killer version of Stardew Valley, where you can either be a good person or go axe crazy on your neighbors. I'd recommend all of this dev's games to everyone who likes horror games. Lakeview Cabin 2 is still in early access, but this game has a lot of content, and each of the levels are like one big horror sandbox that you get to play around in. The sound design in this game is brilliant and creates some truly intense and scary moments. This game is truly masterful at building up suspense and tension to create intense feelings of unease. All the levels start off fairly normal, while the horror starts to slowly creep in and then eventually turning into full-on horror. The game was designed for the player to explore and experiment, so dying a lot is inevitable. But through every death and new discovery, you get one step closer to outsmarting the villains. Or you could just say screw it and become the villain yourself. I normally would be hesitant to recommend something that is still early access, but the game has an insane amount of content for the asking price. I also strongly recommend this developer's other games that have both left early access and are must-owns in any horror fan's collection. So, I remember several years ago I played a free indie horror game off itch.io that I really liked, and I remembered that the gameplay mechanics were fun and unique. I just couldn't remember the name of it, but after some digging I found it again. The game is called Close Your Eyes. Close Your Eyes is a free short horror game that you can download from itch.io, and it is a cut above a lot of the free horror games you typically find on there. It was developed by Gamagami. In this game, the monsters are faster than you and you cannot hide from them. However, when you close your eyes in the game, they cannot harm you. But you will not always be able to tell where you are forcing you to open your eyes, which then creates very tense and adrenaline-pumping moments. I got the crap scared out of me when I had to open my eyes to see where I was going, only to have the monster right behind me. Well, guys, that's it for the list. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. And also, if you would like me to continue doing list videos, I thought I would try it out. I've always wanted to do a list video. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed making it. And I wouldn't mind making more list videos because I do have a lot of games to recommend. I have a crap ton of more indie horror games to recommend. So yeah, let me know. Thanks.